Hey, here we go. Check this out.
This is Whole Nutha Level with Dwayne Lindo.
You know, frankly, I feel that we shouldn't even be talking about this. Simple as that.
The great L. Bushman.
They'd have to make so many adjustments, but I don't know what they have to do. They need a miracle.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Craig Cousin.
How can you not put Tom Brady number one on the Mount Rushmore of quarterbacks? Man, this guy's a legend. Rings speak.
And Derek Wilson.
I didn't know Eric was going to let you talk.
Don't hate the player, hate the game. I've seen enough Facebook posts to know that you're not a Giants fan. Let's go.
Here we go now. Here we go now. Here we go now. Here we go now. Here we go now.
And welcome everyone to our live event here at Old School Main Street, 1991, Sarasota. Big shout out to everybody who's joined us so far, and we expect to see a lot more people as the games get ready to set. I'm your man E-Dub, a.k.a. Eric Wilson. And before we get started today, we at Whole Nutha Level just want to take a moment and remember today, not only because it is the start of the NFL football season for 2016, but more importantly than that, 15 years ago, our country got hit with a severe blow. And 15 years later, we still stand here as the strongest country in the world. So I just want to take a quick minute and say to everybody, thank you. We will always remember, and we will never forget. With that, I'm going to turn it over to my fellas. I'm going to introduce them as I do, and then I'm going to let them take the show today. So starting off, first and foremost, I got sitting right here my man, the factual Frank Mazzei. Frank, what's going on, baby? How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I got the sports expert that he is, Mr. Dwayne Lindo. What's up, Dwayne?
What up, man?
I got, of course, running the board and doing all the work today is the great L. Bushman.
Fire the cannons, everyone. Fire the cannons.
As I do every time here on Whole Nutha Level, and I'm going to pass the mic over to him, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Craig Cousin.
Let's go. Football season, baby. I'm excited today. Excited to get things started. This Christmas morning. Christmas morning.
It's the most wonderful time of the year.
It truly is. Can you tell that he's a Bucs fan? Can you tell?
Yes. Come on, man.
Well, hopefully the cans will be firing today because Bucs fans, that's what they're all about. Tampa at Atlanta.
Yes.
That's a huge game. Sophomore season for Jameis Winston. Will he fall in that sophomore slump? Or
that sophomore slump will not be anywhere coming towards Mr. Jameis Winston.
Not at
all. Full confidence that this is the guy for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Well, I say we just start out and open the conversation here. Tampa at Atlanta then. One of the things that I've seen is obviously Tampa took both games from Atlanta last season. Is this something that we're going to look forward to today, or do you think something's going to change where, Atlanta is at home now, had a good start to the season last year? Do you think they're going to continue the start to the season?
With all the signings they had on the offseason, with beefing up their defense and making it stronger than it was last year, because we can all agree upon the Tampa 2 is finally dead. Okay,
thank you.
Yeah,
of course their defensive
coordinator. It was dead when Tony Dungy left.
It was. It's been dead. It should have been dead last year with Lovie Smith, but
Dungy took it with him. They played defense last year?
Did they? I don't know. I think the Tampa 2 is now in Illinois now.
That's in the Hall of Fame, right?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. So with the addition of having Mike Smith as the defensive coordinator for the Bucs now, who actually just, I think he used to coach the Atlanta Falcons a few years ago.
Correct.
I think that has an advantage for the Bucs coming into this game. And, Dirk Cutter has, I think, done a great job with this offense, molding it to what he wants it to be. Last year, it was a bit of a controversy when, they fired Lovey and brought Dirk in, but I think all along the Glazers wanted a guy that's going to have a high-powered offense, a really tough defense, something that Tampa Bay has lacked for a really, really long time. And, with Jameis Winston coming in and pretty much taking the reins last year and having Gerald McCoy saying, this is his team. This is the guy that's going to, lead our team to victory. Having him being step up and being that captain for this team only his first year, I think that says a lot for the character and about who he is as a quarterback and who he is for this team. So I expect a lot. There's a lot of expectations from this team. There is a lot.
Well, you said character, and speaking of character, that was one of the things that Jameis Winston coming out of college, everyone had questions about character concerns. I think we can put those to rest, can't we?
We can, yes.
So far he's been nothing but a leader for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, something that, their fan base can be excited about. Obviously I think that him with the combination of him and Mike Evans both coming in at the same time. You have two high offensive powered weapons on that end. The defense is, it's been average, but it's getting better. I love Levante David at the linebacker position.
I love the fact they went out and got Robert Ayers too in signings. I love the fact that they got Vernon Hargraves. They did some crazy moves.
Staying in Florida.
Staying in Florida, staying in those Florida guys and bringing that hometown feel to the Tampa Bay Bucks. And what a lot of people were saying, they're crazy going out and getting a kicker in the second round. But I trust Jason Light, and Jason Light has done. Yes, I know you're about to laugh. I know you're about to laugh, but. Craig, it is preseason.
No,
it was preseason.
Hey,
it was.
Anybody that has to go see a shrink already when the season hasn't started, I'm not saying it's starting that great for him.
He saw a shrink, but then he was good after he saw a shrink, so his head is clear now. And as I said on the show,
he was contacting Adam Vinatieri.
As I said on the show yesterday, man, if he doesn't work out, his brother is doing pretty well in Florida State right now. So
look, I got to tell you too. I think we discussed this yesterday that I think he's a great pickup. I mean, don't judge preseason. Don't judge him in preseason. He'll do well. I'm telling you right now, he's going to do great, without question.
If we go by preseason, Dak Prescott's going to be the offensive MVP.
We'll get to that, Frank.
Hey,
hold your horse.
Cowboys will automatically do a Super Bowl.
There.
What I want to see is what's the offense going to look like? Because Cutter's already said that it's going to be more aggressive. So you're going to actually see, how Lovey kind of held it back last year and what Dirk Cutter's vision is for it this year.
Well, I really like that, too. And one of the recent signings, actually, this week, they signed Cecil Shorts, coming as the third or fourth wide receiver on that offense. I think it'll take him like a week or two to kind of get acclimated, but I really think that he's a deep threat that can go on. And he actually can play in the slot, too.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have Mike Evans is going to command probably double team on every possession. Vincent Jackson's he's getting up there in age, but he still gets the job done. Doug Martin got his contract, so I'm curious to see what he's going to do with it. Is he going to play, or is he going to be one of those players that, okay, I got my money, and now I'm going to kind of, slack a little bit?
What was good about these guys, especially Doug Martin in the offseason, these guys cut a lot of weight. Jameis Winston, I think, lost 20 pounds. Mike Evans lost 25 pounds. Dougie, I think he lost another 25. So these guys are really getting in shape and really getting to the point that they're at their physical peak where they can compete even better than they were last year. Yeah, Dougie got his money. Let's see how he does, because a lot of these players that get their money.
Teach me how to Dougie.
Teach me how to Doug or not. He actually doesn't even like to be called now. But, he gets his money. So let's see. A lot of these players that get these huge contracts, the next year they don't perform. So let's hope we get the Doug or not of last year instead of a Doug or not a couple of years ago.
So you say that the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will definitely go over 500 this year?
I said it before. I think they're going to go 11-5. They're going to challenge Carolina for
11-5. I feel like that's pretty steep there.
11-5. Wow. Yes, you can say what all you want to.
Is that a homer pick?
This coming from the guy wearing a 49ers jersey. So
well, you got to agree with that too. You got to. Well, look, you got to understand too. They're in a division that's really not that great this year. I mean, the only team in that division, in my opinion, is Carolina. I mean, New Orleans is on the decline. Atlanta's on the decline. I picked Buccaneers for this game to be,
Well, speaking of Atlanta, let's look to that side now. Obviously, they're the home team. They lost 2 to Tampa Bay last year. What can we see from Atlanta? Yeah, you could say Julio Jones is a little banged up in preseason, but it's preseason. I don't think anybody can stop Julio Jones, to be honest. You got Devontae Freeman, catches balls out of the backfield. Telvin Coleman, that dual backfield as well. I think that's pretty formidable there.
Mohamed Sanu.
They got some players on defense over there now. I think that this is going to be – I don't think this is going to be a cakewalk by any means.
Here's what I expect from Atlanta. Basically, I expect Matt Ryan to be worse than he was the year before, because that's the trend that he's been on. I mean, he played better as a rookie coming into the league than he did last year.
Matty Ice is thinning on ice right now. It's a regression step with him for this year. How can you go from a guy that was slinging it like it was nothing the first few years in a season, and then last year they started 5-1, and then they end 8-8? I mean, how does this happen with a team that was hot and then just cooled off, as they say?
I mean, to come to his, I guess, assistance, if you will. Outside of Julio Jones, which they traded a lot to go up and get to him, you had O'Roddy White at that time, which was balling. They haven't really put any weapons around him. You finally got Devontae Freeman, which showed that he can do something. Who are their other weapons? They had Devin Hester. I mean, you know what I'm saying? They haven't really brought in a second, a third, a fourth wide receiver that can complement that offense. Tony Gonzalez left, obviously the Hall of Famer that he is.
They had Roddy White.
But that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Roddy White at the beginning of Matt Ryan's tenure, but then now an aging Roddy White, which they kicked out the door. Yeah. And who's their tight end over there? I mean, see, they have a lot of weapons over there outside of Julio Jones to work with. So I don't know if it's more Matt Ryan regressing, or they haven't done a good job of, number one, building the offensive line to protect him, and then number two, putting weapons around him, which I really think that he needs to thrive in that offense. They're finally getting some pieces on defense, so we'll see where they're at, but I kind of see them as a middle-of-the-road pack. I don't have them as a playoff team.
No, I have them at 6 wins this year.
I have them at 5.
I have them even losing the division, basically. Last place.
So you have them last place. See,
Yes.
I don't have them last because I think that's going to go to the New Orleans Saints, to be honest. I think that their defense is atrocious. They can't stop anybody. We'll see what Brandon Cooks does. I think I was a year early on him in fantasy. I drafted him in the second or third round last year, real excited, PPR league.
That
didn't work out for me.
The fact that we're talking about
year.
New Orleans being probably in the cellar with Atlanta is probably true. I mean, Drew Brees is there only for the money now. He's had so many opportunities to restructure his contract and bring guys in, but he hasn't done that because he's all about the Benjamins.
And the food. Don't
forget the food. And the food, of course, yeah.
And you got to understand, too, I think we discussed this yesterday where we all know that he's on the way out, so he's trying to get the money, as you mentioned. So get the money, try to get what you can, and he's gone.
Okay, so staying on the Tampa-Atlanta pick. So, Frank, who is your pick to win today? And who's going to be the key to that win?
I have the Buccaneers winning.
Buccaneers win, going to be close game, blowout?
I think they'll win pretty handily. I don't expect much from Atlanta this year, to be honest. I mean, again, outside of Julio Jones, is anybody really afraid of Mohamed Sanu? I mean, Freeman, yeah, okay, I get it, but no pass rush, really. I mean, defensively, Atlanta's defense it's mediocre at best. I mean, I'm saying it's better than the Saints' defense, but, I mean, how much is that really saying?
Not much.
Not at all.
Dwayne, who do you got in this game?
Oh, I definitely have the Buccaneers in this game. And look, and I mentioned this yesterday as well, you're down on the new kid, Aguayo. I say
I'm not completely down on him. I'm saying if you're drafting him in the second round, he needs to come out and show that he can make kicks. You're already missing in a preseason.
Dude, he hasn't played a game yet. He's played preseason.
He hadn't missed a kick in high school or college. You finally get to the NFL and you freeze up.
So, I mean, give
it's
a
preseason.
break.
All I'm saying is, in a pressured situation,
guys.
we're going to see where he was made out of.
As much as I am a Bucs fan, we're taking too much time on a kicker, for God's sakes.
Second round kicker, though.
I know, second round.
They took a lot of time debating that.
Well, I'm just saying, the Bucs will win this game, and I guarantee you he'll come out with a couple wins, 2 or 3 wins for the Bucs this season.
L?
You already know my pick for this game.
You already know
this. Okay, so the key here, I would say, is Jameis Winston. He's got to lead his team to being a great offensive unit that they're going to be this year. The key is to him. For this game especially, this has got to be a statement win. Say, let's start the season off right, especially in Atlanta. I think the key is Jameis Winston.
Man, so you have 3 people from Atlanta right now on the road week 1.
So you don't see Jameis Winston as having any flaws whatsoever?
Okay, I'm not going to say he's going to be the perfect quarterback this season. No quarterback is, okay? He's going to have those timely mistakes here and there, but I know he's grown from last year. He did have some pick problems, but I think he's overcome that. I think he's going to be a better quarterback. He's going to be probably a top 10 quarterback this year, maybe a top 5. You never know.
Continuity is going to be important, too. That basically the offense, even though there's been a head coaching change per se, he's still going to stay in that same system.
Yep. Craig?
I mean,
come on.
You know what? You got this is the
only conflicted about this one.
No,
come on.
I really am. This is the only game that I haven't picked yet. So you know what? I'm going to ride you guys' coattails on this one because I have Tampa Bay. I wouldn't say because we haven't went over it yet, making the playoffs, but I have them in the conversation. I'll go over my playoff picks a little bit later. So I'm going to go with Tampa Bay getting off to a good start, beating Atlanta on the road today, which is a tall task. So if Atlanta wins, it's not like I'm going to be surprised at all. Division games are tough. You're on the road, week 1.
Right.
I don't think anybody's stopping Julio Jones. I don't. I think he's going to have a ridiculous game today. But at the other side, I don't see anyone stopping Mike Evans. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's going to be a shootout. It's going to be a shootout today in Atlanta for that game. Eric, you're holding the camera right now.
I know we have yet to hear from you.
Let me give you the mic because I need to know who you want to pick in this game, Tampa, Atlanta, and what do you think your keys to the game are going to be? So I'll switch places with you.
For some reason, I think this is going to be unanimous, but we'll see.
Actually, we discussed this yesterday, and it took a long time for me to make this decision. And the great Al Bushman and he constantly was like, seriously, how are you not picking Tampa on this? But realistically, what I have to say about this is I have to give Jameis Winston more credit than Matt Ryan. If you're going to put it all on the shoulders of a quarterback right now, you have to look at the better quarterback. And right now, to me, that's Jameis Winston. Frank and I continually have said this, and we've all said it here at one point in time or another. How do you start a season 5-1 and finish 8-8? This is an Atlanta team who in years past, you had guys like Julio Jones, who still plays. You had not Antonio Gonzalez or
Tony
Gonzalez. Thank you. Yeah, a major tight end guy. You know what I'm saying? This was an Atlanta team that, hell, I'll go back to when Michael Vick played. People were scared to go play in Atlanta. The Dirty Bird was a Dirty Bird. They're not dirty anymore. I'm sorry. They done cleaned up their act. They don't know how to play football. And when you got right, you know what I'm saying? And so now it's like Matt Ryan continually regresses year after year after year, and it's time for him to go. Not to mention Mike Smith, who is now the defensive coordinator for Tampa Bay. Oh, by the way, he used to be the head coach of the Atlanta Falcons. So, yeah, it's a unanimous decision. Tampa across the board, they get off to a 1-0 start. Next week, though, Tampa has a really tall task because they are playing the Carolina Panthers. So we shall see what happens. And again, they're going to Carolina. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with that. Let me ask you gentlemen another question while we got it. And I want to stay in the NFC South. I know we talked about it yesterday, but Craig, you were off on assignment. So let me get your take on what you saw Thursday night between the Super Bowl rematch between the Broncos and the Panthers. I want to get your take on that, and I'll switch with you. Here you go.
Yeah, absolutely. So I watched that game, obviously being the first game of the season. And what I would say, first off, if I can give the Broncos a little bit of love, Trevor Siemian looked pretty good to me. And you can say what you want. He had a couple interceptions. One of them was tipped at the line. That's always hard to kind of predict if that's going to happen. But he looks like he can make all the throws. He has a strong arm, and I think that's exactly what they need in that Denver offense. And he's not afraid to take chances. And that's one of the things that I saw that I was pretty excited about if I'm a Denver Bronco fan. You know, something that Mark Sanchez, he was afraid to take chances. He takes them, and he doesn't do well with chances. You know, you had, obviously, Peyton Manning, Brock Osweiler situation last year. I'm not going to touch on that because that's over with. But, you know, Trevor Siemian in Denver got them off to a 1-0 start. Their defense is still stout. You know, you lost Malik Jackson. You lost some of those people going to different places. That didn't really seem to affect them too much, to be honest. I mean, they played really, really well. Von Miller's still getting at the quarterback. You know, they're still doing their thing. On the other end, Carolina. Hey, Kelvin Benjamin's back.
Yeah, I mean, he had some great plays, but I mean, in terms of this game, I thought Denver showed up for their defense. Obviously, Siemian played a pretty good game, but I thought the defense rattling Carolina Panthers, Cam Newton in particular. I mean, they did a great job of just rattling Cam. I mean, and that was the tail of the game, basically.
We do have breaking news today as well. Demaryius Thomas apparently got injured in that game. He suffered a hip injury, which the MRI came out to be some structural damage. He's going for a second opinion. That could be huge for Denver. That would make Emmanuel Sanders the number one target over there. And if I'm a Denver fan, I'm a little nervous because Emmanuel Sanders is good, but when he's getting covered by the Darrelle Revises, the Richard Shermans, all the top-notch players, who else is going to step up in Demaryius Thomas's absence? You know, because I haven't really seen Cody Latimer, you know, and Jordan Norwood and those type of people do what they were supposed to do what they were brought in to do. I'm a little concerned with that. On the flip side, Carolina in that game, they lost the game. They're on the road against the defending Super Bowl champions. That's nothing that I'm worried about. I think they're going to have a great season. I saw enough from Cam outside the offensive line, and I texted this to a couple people. If he continues to take those hits throughout the season, he's not going to make it through the season.
Well, I mean,
he's not going to make it. I mean, his back was hurting, his ankle's hurting, he got hit in the head, concussed almost, that they didn't call it a concussion. So I mean, he was on the ground just as much as he was running and throwing it through the air. And that's a little alarming to me.
Yeah, and you know that's the point I'm trying to make. You know, Denver, I mean, just looks solid on defense, and with Cam getting hit, I mean, and here's the thing too, not a lot of calls being made with Cam getting hit. I mean, what's up with that?
Well, the problem is they don't know half the time if he's going to run the ball or pass the ball. Once he becomes a runner, the rules are completely different. Granted, is he in the pocket, out of the pocket? Again, we were looking at some of those, and I think the one where he got kind of hit low, kind of hit high, he kind of got sandwiched. I don't think that should have been a penalty, in my opinion. People were clamoring it should have been. I didn't see that. The one was definitely a penalty. Took a headshot. They called that.
Yep. But the last hit he took in the fourth quarter.
No, absolutely. That should have been a penalty. But honestly, like, they shouldn't even been in that situation to begin with. They got a hands to the face call on a 4th and 20. The game should have been over. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
To be honest. And then obviously you get the kicker to kick it. You ice the kicker. He makes the first one. Kind of hit the crossbar and went in. He's he tried to fix it, and then he hit it wide left.
Yeah,
so.
You know, the thing is, Denver just did everything right. I mean, everything was in Denver's favor that night.
And they turned the ball over 3 times.
Right. Yeah,
you know?
Yeah.
Devontae Booker fumbled it. Trevor Siemian got 2 interceptions. So Carolina had a chance. Carolina's defense is still stout. That's what I saw.
No.
Without Josh Norman.
But it's not. The defense let them down. They gave up a 10-point lead in that game.
I mean, they did give up.
to Trevor Siemian, who went to Northwestern. I mean, we know he's smart. I mean, but still.
But it was almost like Carolina, went to sleep at halftime. I don't know what they did coming out in the second half.
That's what was alarming to me.
Last season, if you remember correctly, they got out to a big lead and let teams back as well. So is that something that we're going to see on the regular basis now? Or is that something that, is an aberration per se?
You have basically the same defense as last year that we went to the Super Bowl with, and really the only guy you lost was Josh Norman. And you couldn't hold the lead to a 7th-round quarterback from Northwestern?
I'll tell you what, they couldn't stop the run because C.J. Anderson had his way.
Yeah, tell me about
it. I think that was a good idea, getting rid of Ronnie Hillman, to be honest. But you got to see what Devontae Booker is going to bring. All in all, though, I like where both teams stand. And just by last game, like I said, the season opening weekend, I have the Denver Broncos getting back to the playoffs, to be honest with you. And we're going to get into that a little bit later, but I moved them. I had them out originally, and just based on what I've seen, I had them making the playoffs.
I mean, it's kind of hard not to make that argument that they wouldn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, and I mean, because we have some good teams here. I have in the wild card the Jets, Cincinnati, Houston, Indy, Kansas City, Denver, all going to be in that mix. But I got to put Denver in based on what I saw. I like what I saw from Trevor Siemian, and what I will say is that Carolina, don't be ashamed that you lost that game.
See, I have that. I can't even put the Jets in the conversation unless they have a new quarterback.
I said they're in the conversation. I didn't say I put them in.
Okay, all right. Okay.
Am I the only one that thinks the Jets will do fairly well this year? I mean, Fitzpatrick is not. I mean, he wasn't great last year.
You're the only one.
Well,
yes.
I mean, look. They'll go at least 500.
Kathy's in the audience. Kathy's in the audience. I know she thinks the Jets are going to do good this year.
No, actually, hold on.
Eric.
No. Hold on. You can't. Dwayne's not the only one who feels that the Jets are going to make the postseason this year. So, Dwayne, I got your back, bro.
There we go.
It's okay. I don't need to hear from. I mean, Frank, I already know how you feel about the Jets. Pretty much, unless it's anybody else outside of Ryan Fitzpatrick or Sam Bradford, you're going to be the one to be like, I would take them over those two to start for the Jets.
I'd take Fireman Ed as my starting quarterback over Ryan Fitzpatrick.
So I totally get that. And, Craig, they play in your division, so I expect you to say that the Patriots are going to be the only ones who come out of your division.
Sorry to be the only ones coming out of my division. But I'm not being biased. The reason is they're scheduled to start. Do you know who they're playing? They're playing the Bengals today.
Right, and then they got a short week, and then they play Buffalo in Buffalo.
I'm not worried about Buffalo, but then they play at Kansas City.
Okay.
And they lose. Seattle, that's a loss. At Pittsburgh, probably a loss. And then at the Cardinals, another loss. So I can see his team starting 1-5 to start the season, and that's saying they haven't even played New England twice with Tom Brady back.
And they're going to lose one of those games. They're only going to lose one.
The Jets are going to lose both of those games.
No, they're not. No, I can tell you right now. Look at the past couple of years, and you've seen what happened. The Patriots and Jets, 9 times out of 10, are going to split. You know this is going to happen. You can say what you want about New England.
10th out of 10th time, baby.
No,
they ain't splitting this season.
But I'll tell you what. The Jets are going to get in the postseason. Okay, Ryan Fitzpatrick got his $12 million. The money that I know, Frank, you feel like he shouldn't have that money.
Why didn't they make the playoffs last year?
Oh, I know. Ryan Fitzpatrick.
Exactly. Week 17, what did he do?
He threw a lot of picks.
Exactly.
Listen, last year.
Make it. Listen, he's been a career backup his entire career. That's what he is. They put him in a starting role. So when the game was on the line, when it was pressure packed, we saw again what Ryan Fitzpatrick's been, what he's always been.
So what you're saying?
Hey, he's a smart guy. He's from Harvard.
He went to Harvard. Yeah.
So all right. So what you're saying is, even though he got his $12 million for 1 year,
that's because the Jets had no.
Even though he got they had options. They had Geno Smith, Bryce Petty, or Christian Hackenberg, and they still chose.
Can you name those options again?
Okay, but Frank is sitting here saying that he would take any of those options over Ryan Fitzpatrick. So Frank is saying that. So what I'm saying to you is, Ryan Fitzpatrick got his money. Okay, he got his $12 million, putting it all on him. Now, he's got Chris Ivory. He's got Eric Decker. He's got Brandon Marshall. So it's the continuation plus the addition. Matt Forte. I'm sorry. Thank you. So you replace Chris Ivory with Matt Forte. In my opinion, a better running back. You still got Marshall. You still got Decker. So now he just got stronger. And as long as that offensive line can protect him, guaranteed he's not going to make the same mistakes. I guarantee you he has relived Week 17 from last year over and over and over again in his mind in this offseason. He is not going to do what he did last year. The Jets are going to get to the postseason. They will slide into a wild card because we've all said it, and I will continually say it. When Psycho Tom comes back, as you call your fantasy draft name, it is the TB Middle Finger Tour. That's exactly what it's going to be. So the Patriots are going to win their division. but the Jets are going to be in the wild card.
And the first two games,
Wait, can you repeat what you
Cincinnati
just said,
Bengals, Buffalo Bills. I mean, I think they win those two games right off the bat.
I agree. I say they win today against Cincinnati, and I feel they win against Buffalo.
Of course.
No, but Cincinnati's going to be a tough team this year. Well, since we just talked about the Jets, let's get everybody's take on it then. Who do you got today? Cincinnati at the New York Jets.
Oh, we got Cincinnati.
I do, yeah. I have the Bengals winning. It's not a playoff game, so I know they can actually win in the preseason.
Now, Andy Dalton hasn't played in quite some time, correct?
Yeah, not worried. Cincinnati still. What I do want to see though is how he does without Hugh Jackson there, because I think Andy Dalton had one of his best years last year under Hugh Jackson, and with him being gone, I want to see what the offense looks like. And Marvin Jones is gone too, even though
Marvin Jones gone, Mohamed Sanu gone.
Right.
You got a Brandon LaFell that's a little bit banged up, and you got the rookie in there, Tyler Boyd now.
But I still think Cincinnati has enough to beat the Jets.
Dwayne?
I have the Jets in this one, obviously. I mean, there's big question marks for Cincy. You know, Hugh Jackson gone. I think that's the biggest question mark for me. So I just don't see Cincy winning this game. New York with a W.
I see Fireman Ed sitting in the seat most of the game because I have Cincinnati.
Is he back again?
He is back.
I think he finally came back.
But I do have Cincinnati taking this game. I feel Cincinnati's got a lot more weapons than New York does. They've got a better defense as well. Cincinnati all the way. And like Frank said, this is a regular season game, not a playoff game.
I mean, I think both of these defenses are formidable. Both top 10 defenses in the NFL this year. I'm only giving the nod to the Jets due to them being at home on opening week. If this is in Cincinnati, I would go Cincinnati. So I'm going to give the Jets the nod here. I think it's going to be a really close game, a defensive struggle. Maybe actually probably like a 17-14 type of game I see. Maybe a 21-17 type of game.
Revis Island going to be holding it down, baby.
Exactly.
Revis Island, baby.
AJ Green, man, he's old.
Yeah.
I expect AJ Green to wear him out.
To wear who out? Darrell Revis?
Yeah.
The island's getting dried up, man. He's old. He's
getting better. Darrell Revis.
The island is dried up.
High tide on that island.
Darrell Revis is like a fine wine. He gets better with age. All right, gentlemen.
25 bottle is leaking out.
Listen, great stuff to start the show. Let's take a real quick break. When we come back, we'll dive a little deeper into some more of these games. I see we got a few Green Bay Packer fans in the building. So I got some bad news for you guys, which we'll talk about when we come back. But you are listening to us, Whole Nutha Level on Spreaker.com. We are live at Old School. We'll be right back. All right. We are live right here back at Old School, 1991 Main Street, Whole Nutha Level. Factual Frank, sports expert Dwayne Lindo, the one and only Craig Cousin, the great Al Bushman, and your man E-Dub. And I just got this breaking news. Chris Ivory is actually going to be inactive.
Yes, baby. TJ Yeldon, insert him in the starting lineup.
TJ Yeldon is going to be the starting running back. So I know, like I said, we got a couple Green Bay fans in the building. I do have some bad news for you guys today, all you Packer fans. Unfortunately, you are going to be handed your first loss today.
No, they won't.
To the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Wow.
That is my bold prediction for the day, that now with the insertion of TJ Yeldon, Jacksonville is going to beat Green Bay.
Wow. Is Justin Blackmon coming back? Like, is he cleared? Is he sobered up? I mean, is that what you're basing that off of?
I'm basing it. It is my bold prediction.
Rodgers not starting today.
I know. I mean, look, I know this is the first week and all, Eric, but come on. Jacksonville over Green Bay. And normally I agree with you on most cases, but this takes the cake. Honestly.
Yep. You've heard it here first. Whole Nutha Level. Jacksonville Jaguars are going to beat the Green Bay Packers. It's going to happen.
Has he started drinking yet today?
No, but actually, I'm going to back him up on this.
Okay.
I have Jackson. This is my upset special of the week, the Jacksonville Jaguars. Now, I'll tell you why.
Whoa.
First off, Blake Bortles in his, third year now, playing awesome. He has the weapons over there, Allen Robinson, Allen Hurns, TJ Yeldon out of the backfield. I like what this team's doing, and I think they're going to be at home. They're going to be fired up. And Green Bay in the last couple of years has kind of started a little slow. We don't know what Jordy Nelson's going to do coming back. Yeah, we heard he's healthy. We don't know. We don't know what he's going to do. He hasn't really played too much.
Eddie Lacy?
Eddie Lacy, yeah, he's in a contract year, and hopefully for Green Bay fans, he actually plays like he's in a contract year because he hasn't played the last 2 seasons. He's pretty much been living under a rock. I like Jacksonville. Their defense is going to be way better than it was. They've upgraded their defense. My upset special of the week, the Jacksonville Jaguars over the Green Bay Packers.
Can anybody tell me who the largest home underdog is in Week 1 of the NFL?
I think I might have to go with Jacksonville on that one.
You would be correct. It is the Jacksonville Jaguars.
That's fine.
Look,
I'm going against Vegas, baby.
the defense did get a little bit better. I mean, Dante Fowler Jr. is going to give them some pass rush. Malik Jackson coming over from Denver. I get that. And Green Bay's offensive line is a little weakened, losing their guard. That being said,
hey, don't sleep on Jalen Ramsey. He even said it. He said he's not afraid of anything, and if Aaron Rodgers wants to throw his way, he's going to welcome it today. So
is Blake Bortles going to stop throwing interceptions? I think he had 18 last year. I mean, he was basically a turnover machine. And Green Bay's defense, it's actually pretty good. I mean, to me, this
22nd against the run last year. I don't call that very good.
Maybe
their pass defense.
Exactly. I'm just saying it could be a long day for Blake Bortles. I think it will be a long day for Blake Bortles, to be honest.
Well, look, I mean, if Blake Bortles can connect with the Allen brothers, like you mentioned, both of them are on either side. I mean, if he can connect, the game will be close. But I don't see Jacksonville even.
Listen, this is a tough matchup for Jacksonville. It's going to have to be a statement game, and it's one of the reasons why I think Jacksonville is going to finally rise up to competition. I had the Jacksonville Jaguars in the playoffs this year for the first time in a very long time. And this is coming from somebody that has Green Bay going to the NFC Championship. I do. So what do you I think they're going to start out 0-1.
You have Jacksonville as a wild card.
No, I have Jacksonville winning the division. And I'll tell you why in a second.
Did you hear this?
Yes. Talk about bold prediction. The reason why I have Jacksonville winning the
Unbelievable.
division is because you have a beat-up Andrew Luck coming back. He didn't really show too much last season, even though he is the best quarterback in that division. They haven't done anything on that defensive end to put anything around him. The offensive line in Indy is still beat up. You have an unproven quarterback in Brock Osweiler over in Houston. Jadeveon Clowney, let's face it, he has been a clown since he's come into the league because he hasn't done anything on the other side of J.J. Watt. He's nursing an injury, so who knows what he's going to do today as well.
Brock Osweiler doesn't need to be good. I mean, look, who was throwing DeAndre Hopkins the ball last year?
Yeah, they did have about 3 different people.
And look at the numbers that he put up. He put up top 5 wide receiver numbers. I mean,
I agree. He's an awesome receiver.
Lamar Miller from the Dolphins, he's going to get the bulk of the carries there in Houston.
And who else is that in that division? I don't see Tennessee doing it. I mean, they're
going
to be better.
I have the Texans winning that division.
But I'm sticking with Jacksonville. I really think it's their year, and I'm going with them as a bold prediction to win a division. Brian Drexler.
Well, I mean, I figure Indianapolis and Houston are 2 superior teams over Jacksonville. I mean, I just don't agree with your prediction at all.
And that's why we make them, baby.
Yep.
Craig, you are right about something. Jacksonville will be a good team, but they will not win the division. I made my bold prediction. Speaking of bold predictions, Houston's going to be 12-4. They're going to win the division. Dwayne, Indianapolis is going to be a bad team. They're going to be a bottom-of-the-barrel team. They're going to be the last-place team of that division with Tennessee. Okay? That's my bold prediction for this year. For this game, I like it. I hope it's going to be a shootout because this is the year. Well, this is the year that Gus Bradley's job is on the hot seat. Okay. This is the year he's got to come in and put up or shut up. He's got enough guys around him now. He's got Blake Bortles coming back in where everybody's putting him at the top of the pedestal right now. Is this going to be a guy that's going to be a top 5 quarterback, or is he going to be a regressive guy that's going to throw a bunch of picks like he did last year? So we'll see coming out of this game. I agree with Frank. It's Green Bay. Their defense has gotten better. They know that pass rush now. It's Aaron Rodgers' team. Everybody gunslinging all over the day. I mean, Randall Cobb's coming back from that shoulder injury from last year. Of course, we don't know what Jordy Nelson's going to be this year, but it's going to be Jordy Nelson. He'll come back. He'll ease back into the offense. I do see Aaron Rodgers and the Packers winning this game.
Yeah, I mean, Green Bay just has too many weapons. I mean, Eddie Lacy obviously has.
And Eddie Lacy lost 100 pounds.
Jordy Nelson coming back, but I mean, Green Bay. I mean, Aaron Rodgers.
Wait a second. Allen Robinson had 1,400 yards last year. They don't have weapons in Jacksonville?
Well, yeah, they do, but I'm saying Blake Bortles just has to connect. If they can...
He connected last year. What makes you think he's not going to connect this year?
Well, pick after pick after pick. I mean, Blake Bortles is a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. And I think Jacksonville will improve this year without question, especially with the Allen brothers at wide receivers. But you got to understand, too, that Blake Bortles is not... I mean, the guy doesn't walk on water. He had some issues last year. I mean, I think he'll get better. But the problem is I don't think Jacksonville will not only not win the division, I don't think they'll do that great.
All right, so as it stands right now, Craig and I are the only 2 ones who are bold prediction for week 1 is Jacksonville over Green Bay. Meanwhile, the 3 of you other gentlemen are saying that Green Bay is just going to come in
go Pack, go.
And run ruckshop over the Jacksonville Jaguars. With that, let's move on let's stay in that division, and let's talk about Andrew Luck and the Indianapolis Colts. Because you know what? Last year... We got Detroit fans in the building.
Jeez.
Talking about the Lions are going to beat the Indianapolis Colts. I don't see it this week. Okay. All right. Andrew Luck.
Are you going to be playing? Are you going to help him out?
All right.
Sir, you might be eliminated today. We'll see.
Good pick, sir.
But the Colts, Andrew Luck last year got plagued by injury. Everybody said that the Colts were, last year, they were the team to get to the Super Bowl, that it plagued them. So, gentlemen, talk to me about the Colts test today against, yes, in fact, a team that has gone 0-16, the Detroit Lions.
You know, I said this yesterday on the show. This is a flip of the coin game.
Yep.
You know, and I kind of want my coin to flip to the Detroit side because, you know, this is a Colts team that's banged up. We don't know what kind of Andrew Luck we're going to get. The run game's well. You got Frank Gore. And Frank Gore is, well, you know, 5 years too older than what he is right now.
You have old Frank Gore.
You have an old Frank Gore. You don't have a young Frank Gore in the San Francisco 49ers. Your only real mirror weapon is T.Y. Hilton. That's pretty much it. Dante Moncrief is good on the side, but he's no T.Y. Hilton. And, of course, they shipped off Andre Johnson because he's getting old. And one thing you guys got to remember, their offensive line is terrible. That's why he was hurt last year, is because they have a terrible offensive line. Not to mention that their defense is horrible. Horrible. This is going to be a flip of the coin game for me, and I've got Detroit in this one.
Well, I mean, I hate to disagree with you there, Evan, but I think that
I know you're on the gravy train.
Well, look, Andrew Luck is a smart guy. The thing is, you know,
he went to Stanford. He's got to.
Well, yeah. I mean, he was banged up last year, but the thing is, this is a must-win for them. I know they're banged. I know Indianapolis as a team is banged up, but Andrew Luck, I mean, these guys need to kind of get it out the box, do what they need to do to beat Detroit, to even have, I mean, just to get momentum throughout the season, because they know that Indianapolis, I mean, the team knows that they're probably not that great, so I think Andrew Luck will step up and possibly win this game.
Frank, what do you think?
Look, I mean, name somebody on Indianapolis that scares you besides Andrew Luck. Give me a superstar, a name.
T.Y. Hilton.
Jim Irsay when he's pilled out and drunk.
That's
the only person.
He does scare me.
He scares me a little bit.
They've drafted horrible over the last few years. I mean, their defense is garbage. Their offensive line is bad, and they got a rookie center that's going to start, so that's going to make it even worse. Frank Gore, really? That's it? They haven't had a 100-yard rusher in like 5 years.
Listen, you do have Dante Moncrief over there. He's going to have a pretty good year, I think, being Andrew Luck's probably number one target because I think T.Y. Hilton's going to command a little bit more double team. And I also think that, you know, they drafted Philip Dorsett for a reason in the first round. If he needs to step up, it's going to be this year.
They had other needs
Dwayne
when
Allen.
they drafted him.
No, and I completely agree. And I still think the offensive line's banged up. They didn't really address that, and I think the defense needs improvement. What I will say is, who is Matthew Stafford without Calvin Johnson? We don't know that yet,
right.
but we're about to find out. You know, you brought in Marvin Jones. You brought in Anquan Bolden. I don't really think there's going to be too much of a drop-off.
Well, we said this yesterday. They have a mediocre wide receiving core, so that's what mediocre is going to be, and we'll find out today.
I kind of think I don't think it's mediocre, though, because everywhere Anquan Bolden has been, he has produced. Be that Baltimore, be that San Francisco on a Super Bowl run on both teams. He's kind of under the radar over there. Yeah, aging a little bit. But they still have him. They brought in Marvin Jones from Cincinnati. He was the number 2 over there. You got Golden Tate over there. I wouldn't say that their wide receiver core is below average. I would say it's a little above average.
I'd say mediocre.
But, you know,
like I said, I'm taking the Lions
players are Calvin Johnson.
I'm going to go with Evan just basically by default. I mean,
flip of the coin. He's going towards the Lions.
It's not that I feel good about Detroit. It's more of an indictment against Indianapolis.
And that's the only reason why I actually picked Indianapolis is because they're at home.
Right.
And I really do think it's a coin flip game. But it's Andrew Luck coming back. He's been out for a long time now. He needs to basically come out on fire for his fan base and be like, yo, I'm the Andrew Luck that got drafted. I'm not going to regress.
And actually, that's what I'm looking at. You know, I'm looking at Andrew Luck to kind of take it to another level, so to speak. And I see, for whatever reason, I see Indianapolis winning this division.
All right. With that, gentlemen, let's move on to one other team. And I could say you could kind of call them the new-look Tennessee Titans. Same quarterback at the helm, Marcus Mariota, another gentleman in his sophomore year. But they went out and got DeMarco Murray, a guy who 2 years ago was, you know.
That was your boy.
Not me.
That was your boy.
No, he was on Frank's team, Dallas, when he ran for, almost 2,000 some yards or 1,900 or whatever it was. He came to the field and took a year off, basically.
Drafted Derrick Henry.
They did draft Derrick Henry, which I think is going to be a great backup to DeMarco Murray. He's going to be more of your third and goal guy. But, all right, talk to me about Sean Hill and Minnesota Vikings coming in to face Mariota and the Tennessee Titans.
Listen, we touched on this game yesterday where, Sean Hill's your only option right now. I mean, you got Sam Bradford from that trade about a week ago, but you guys got to remember, Sean Hill used to be a starter in Detroit. This is a guy that can actually manage the ball and manage the clock well for this team. And you got to remember, they have AP running the show here. So this guy doesn't need the ball slinging all day. Granted, you got Stephon Diggs, you got Kyle Rudolph, but you got AP to run the show, run the ball all day, every day on this team. But I'm not worried about the Vikings taking it to the Tennessee Titans. Granted, they got a little bit better on offense. They got Derrick Henry in the draft. They did bring over Andre Johnson as a steal, but he's old and we know how old it is, especially for wide receivers. But I've got the Vikings in this game. I think they're going to take it too, especially with their defense only allowed the fourth fewest touchdowns rushing last year. So Minnesota Vikings all the day.
What do you think, Dwayne?
Well, we discussed this yesterday where, you guys were high on Minnesota, AP will be running the show. But I see Tennessee with that backfield they have. I think Tennessee
against that defense?
Yes, still. I think Tennessee will take it.
I actually do too. I think this is going to be one of the most interesting games of the weekend, believe it or not. The reason why I'm picking Tennessee for two reasons actually. One, they're at home, and two, I'm not a believer in Sean Hill. I think once Sam Bradford gets acclimated with the offense and he starts, that Minnesota's pretty much going to pick up where they left off, because I think him and Teddy Bridgewater, Teddy Bridgewater had more upside. He was on the rise, but he wasn't there yet. I think that Sam Bradford is going to have enough pieces in place, enough smarts, enough arm strength to do what they need to do offensively in Minnesota. But for this week, I think Tennessee is going to try to control the clock, just like Minnesota is going to try to do, because, listen, they're both going to try to run the football. I think it's going to be a defensive battle, low-scoring game is what I see this game. Almost like a 17-13 type of game. I think it's going to be hard-nosed on both ends. I like what I've seen in the preseason from Derrick Henry, from a resurging DeMarco Murray. I really think that they're going to build on that run game. Somebody that they've really talked highly about in Tennessee in the preseason is Tajay Sharp, the rookie wide receiver. He's going to be demanding the slot. You did get rid of some of the other people that you had. You brought in a veteran, Andre Johnson. We'll see if he has anything left, because
let's see a resurgence from him. You never know.
You might. He had a couple of flashy plays in preseason. Minnesota, I like what they're doing over there, but I just think being on the road, starting Sean Hill, is going to be too much in this game.
So you're saying that Tennessee's going to beat Minnesota in football?
Yes, I am.
Okay, all right. Just wanted to make that clear. Look, I like Tennessee. They've invested in their offensive line. There's a couple of first-round draft picks that are there. That's going to be good for Murray and for Yeldon. I like Delaney Walker as a pass-catching tight end. I think they have a lot of young, good pieces, kind of a good nucleus, kind of like Jacksonville does. However, even though Bridgewater is out, Sean Hill can do enough. And look, all you got to tell him is don't throw the ball. Hand it to Adrian Peterson. Mike Zimmer's still the coach, so that defense, it's actually going to get better, I believe, because another year under his system. I got Minnesota in this one all day long.
All right, gentlemen, let's get to the last game in this division real quick, because I want to take a break, and then I want to get the man who graced us and let us come and do this, Carl, come up here and talk about his Oakland Raiders. But before we do that, let's talk about Houston. Does anybody here feel that Chicago has a snowball's chance in hell of beating Houston today in Houston? Let me ask y'all that question.
The answer to that question is no.
I hear a pin drop.
Crickets. All right.
I mean, I think they do. But, I mean, I'm picking Houston just because they're at home. But it's going to be a tall task for the Houston secondary to stop Alshon Jeffries. You have Kevin White over there from West Virginia finally playing. Think that he's going to be pretty good. I'm curious to see how Jeremy Langford is going to do out of the backfield now that Matt Forte is not the lead guy. He's over in New York now. But, Houston, J.J. Watt is playing today. You got the Osweiler show over there going to be probably chucking it to DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah, look for the Osweiler-Hopkins connection every so often.
I got that stack, if you will, in some DraftKings.
Yeah.
So let's go.
All right.
Yeah, I got Hopkins on my fantasy team, so I need him to do good. But they drafted the kid Fuller and Braxton Miller.
All right, we shall see.
I'm curious to see what he's going to do.
That is. All right, gentlemen, with that, we'll take another break. When we come back, like I said, I'm going to bring the man up here, Carl, talk about his Oakland Raiders. You are listening to us on our level right here at Old School. We'll be right back. And welcome back to Whole Nother Level right here at Old School, Main Street, 1991 in Sarasota. Big shout out to Carl for having us. We're going to try and get him up here, but he's a little busy, so we're going to talk about your game, though. Yes, the Oakland Raiders. The Raiders are back, baby. Heading into the Superdome to play New Orleans. It's what I call the farewell tour for Drew Brees. So, gentlemen, talk to me about the new-look Raiders and how they're going to handle Drew Brees. And more importantly, how they're going to run all over pretty much that New Orleans defense.
New Orleans has a defense?
Last time I checked, they had to have somebody. So
it could only have gotten better since Rob Ryan left. But with that said, Oakland, if you're an Oakland Raiders fan, you have a lot to be happy about. You know, you got Amari Cooper over there in the Derek Carr combination, which is really coming to fruition over there. It's working out just how they planned over there in Oakland. Michael Crabtree is a complimentary number 2 wideout in a great run game. You have Latavius Murray that I really feel like is going to take the next step in carrying the rock over there for Oakland. The defense has really been improving. You know, I really like what they've done on the defense, getting some key pieces in place over there. They are going to New Orleans, and if anybody knows, New Orleans is a tough place to play, whether their defense is awful or not. Yep. You know Drew Brees is going to score points. I expect this to be a shootout, to be honest. I think the Saints are going to score a lot of points, but I also think the Raiders are going to score a lot of points on that Saints defense.
Right, and I don't think the New Orleans Saints will have a chance in this game, but I think they'll put up, like you said, put up some points and at least compete. But their defense is just atrocious at this point. I haven't seen anything from the defense at all in preseason.
Look, Oakland, we talk about offensive lines. Oakland has maybe one of the best in the NFL. It's definitely a top 5. And just from the defensive standpoint, Khalil Mack, my goodness. Houston's got to be kicking themselves for not drafting him number 1 a few years ago. I actually expect Oakland to win this game fairly handily.
I have Oakland. I actually have Oakland winning this game on the road, even though New Orleans, again, is a tough place to play regardless of record of the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans kind of a team that, I have below average, but you never kind of know what they're going to do. You have Brandon Cooks over there.
Kobe Fleener came over.
Kobe Fleener's going to be huge.
Yep.
Huge over there because Drew Brees loves his tight ends.
Yep.
He made Ben Watson look all-world last year. Obviously, Jimmy Graham hasn't done anything since he's left outside of being injured in Seattle. So we're going to see if he can kind of rejuvenate his career over there. But I do like the Oakland Raiders to win this game, but I think it's going to be a shootout. I'm looking at like a 34-31 game, to be honest.
And this is a good game for Oakland just from a maturity standpoint because they are a young team. This is a game that you're supposed to win. If they have playoff aspirations, which I think a lot of people think this is their year, to get a wild card.
I have fantasy implication for this because I have Drew Brees as my quarterback. So going along with you, Craig, I do hope I want to shoot out as much as you do, but I think the ghost of Al Davis is going to loom upon the New Orleans Saints because this team has gotten better. With Jack Del Rio as their coach, they've gotten younger, they've gotten better, they've gotten faster. So granted, they're going to be in the Superdome tonight. It is a hostile place to be in, a loud place to be in, but I do have the Raiders beating the Saints.
Let me tell you, I have the Oakland Raiders winning this division. And I have Oakland, and everybody's going to look at me weird. I do, absolutely. And I have 2 bold predictions. It's Jacksonville and Oakland. I think they've improved enough to take the next step to win this division. Obviously, I actually have Denver and Kansas City making the playoffs as wild cards. So I have 3 teams from the AFC West making the playoffs. That is my prediction.
That's a bold prediction.
Sorry to the Cincinnati Bengals, the New York Jets, the Houstons, the Indies of the world. But I like 3 teams coming out of this division. And I'm sorry, Mr. Bolo, it's not you in San Diego.
Oakland winning the division, that's a stretch to me. As a wild card, yes, making the playoffs, obviously. Young team, great team.
All right, gentlemen. Let's talk about a game that we touched on yesterday.
You're going to give us who you think's going to win this game.
Who?
And why?
Oakland and New Orleans?
Yeah.
Oakland, baby, all day long. I can tell you why. I can tell you why in 2 reasons. 1, Derek Carr. 2, Amari Cooper. Enough said. They're going to run all over this New Orleans defense. Listen, Rob Ryan had the worst defense last year. 32nd. It was so bad that his own brother had to be the only saving grace that he had, which is why Rob Ryan is now in Buffalo, okay?
Only because his mom said you got to hire your brother.
Right, that's the only reason.
Hey, he needed a job. He got paid.
The barbecues are going to be awkward.
So, I don't know what to expect from Oakland. From New Orleans, excuse me, but I don't expect that much from New Orleans. Oakland all day. Black and silver, baby, that's what it is. But let me talk to you gentlemen about another game. A game that I'm very interested to see. It is America's Game of the Week. It's a division rivalry. They've had this game for several years opening up. And 2 gentlemen on our panel here are experts on this, so I'm always going to defer to them. I hope you both lose, as I said yesterday. But it is the New York Football Giants with their new head coach, Ben McAdoo, going up against Dak Prescott, Ezekiel Elliott, and I'll even call them the kind of new look Dallas Cowboys. So, Dwayne, Frank, I'll kick it to you 2. As I said before, I hope you both lose. But
Talk to me about these two teams.
Look, the New York Giants, obviously, as we all know, one of the worst defenses in history last year. I mean, totally upset about what they did last year. Couldn't accomplish anything.
Third worst.
Third worst in history. Well, we all know that. This year, they've made some adjustments, obviously. You just mentioned Eric McAdoo. I'm not too happy with McAdoo being the coach. He was on the staff last year with the offense. Offense a lot better than the defense, obviously. They picked up Eli Apple, which I think makes a big difference in the secondary. The two wide receivers, Odell Beckham, obviously we know what he can do on the offense as a wide receiver. Also, we picked up another wide receiver from Ole Miss, I believe.
Sterling Shepard.
Sterling Shepard, yeah.
So, I mean, with those two guys on the offense kicking it up, Eli Manning will be the same Eli Manning we've seen in previous years. I think we see a better New York Giants team, although I don't think they'll make the playoffs.
So which Eli are we going to see? Are we going to see that Eli Manning?
The same Eli Manning that we've seen the previous year.
Yeah, but see, Eli
what has changed?
He's not. I don't think he's still as clutch as you want him to be. Okay, the past 4 years, Eli has not been the Eli Manning that can go 9-7, roll into the postseason, and then beat the Patriots and win the Super Bowl. So my question to you is, why is he doing this? You got 2 rings, okay? In my opinion, he needs to just ride off. You done made your money. You done got your little endorsement deals with your brother. I don't see a point in Eli sticking around, especially when there are better, more mobile quarterbacks out there who could be a better fit for the Ben McAdoo system.
Well, look, I don't see Eli Manning's not a mobile quarterback. We all know that, but he's pretty clutch when it comes just connecting with his receivers. He's pretty clutch, And I'm a Giants fan. Let's put it out there, but I really don't see the Giants making the playoffs. I'd love to see them make the playoffs, but I don't see it happening.
Look, let's be honest. There's not really a good team in this division. I mean, nobody's scared about really any of the teams coming out of the NFC.
Hold on. You need to watch your mouth when it comes to the NFC East, bro.
Please.
Yeah. All right. Okay.
We realize that there's no elite
Wait,
team.
Frank, did you forget that your team went 13-3 before injury?
12-4.
12-4.
12-4.
Different team, not the same. Can't even make that. I can't even make that argument or that comparison. What I will say, I'm glad that the Giants kept the same defensive coordinator who had that worst defense last year.
Right.
He kept his job. I got to applaud the New York Giants. I mean, look, Dak Prescott is going to get his chance. Everything that he's done right now has been in preseason, and really that means absolutely nothing. I mean, because you're playing against backups and a lot of times guys that aren't even going to make the team. But what it did do for him was he got first-team reps. He got those reps with Des Bryant, who is back. Jason Witten's there, even though he's old. But if Ezekiel Elliott can be even a little bit good. Look, he doesn't even have to be as hyped up as he's been. All he has to do is be a little bit good behind that offensive line because safeties are going to have to respect the running game now. And with Dez out there too, defenses are going to have to play them different. That's going to help them. Dallas's defense is going to be atrocious. I mean, Rod Marinelli is going to have to be the most creative defensive coordinator in the NFL to get a pass rush because their two best aren't even going to play the first 4 games, Gregory and Lawrence. And actually, Gregory will probably be gone for a lot more than 4 once that comes down. But there's still some veterans there. Skandrick's still there. Barry Church is still there. Sean Lee, if he can stay healthy. But so they're going to have to outscore basically everybody. But again, so are the Giants, and pretty much so are all the teams in that division.
Listen, a couple of things that I like from the Giants offseason is the acquisitions of Janoris Jenkins in the secondary and then Jared Odrick on the defensive line. I think that the defense is making strides over there, and I think they're going to be a lot better than they were last year. Problem is, they had trouble protecting Eli Manning last year on the offensive line, and I don't know if they really addressed any of those needs in the offseason. Obviously, Odell Beckham Jr. is a top 5 receiver. He's getting better every year. Granted, now he has to play Josh Norman twice, so I don't know if he's going to have his head on straight for that game when they go up against against Washington now. What a great pickup, Washington made, and what a great loss that Carolina made, in my opinion, in that. With that said, the Giants, offensively, I think they're going to be able to score points. I'm not sold on their run game, though, and I think they underutilize Shane Vereen. He's a pass-catching back, which the Patriots, and I know the Patriots better than most people, used more times than not, and he's a sure-handed catcher, and he can get yards actually from the running position as well, but they kind of filter way too many people, and they don't utilize them enough. Going into Dallas is a tough task.
Right, I got to add too. I agree with you. The Giants, in terms of the running game, there's no clear-cut running back for the Giants. So that's one of the points I'm looking at where they don't make the playoffs, because there's still a lot of question marks for the Giants, even though they've made improvements before the season.
And then again, Dallas. Dallas is full of question marks. Zeke Elliott has been anointed basically Emmitt Smith. Dak Prescott's the next great thing. We haven't seen anything yet. So let's not go ahead and crown them. Let's let them play. We have only seen, glamour shots in the preseason, which we all know preseason means absolutely nothing. We're going to see today, finally, under the lights in Dallas, what Dak's made of, what Zeke's going to do behind that offensive line. Granted, probably the best offensive line in the NFL. But let's go ahead and wait and see on that. I think it's going to come down to health. Tony Romo, and obviously, if Tony Romo might not even see the field again.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
If Dak plays well, Tony Romo's career in Dallas is over.
All right, so let me ask you, gentlemen, going down the row, and I'll start with the great Al Bushman, and then we'll kick it off to our last game. Who's winning this game, Dallas or Giants?
I've got Dallas all the way. You guys got to remember that they also brought in Alfred Morris, too, from Washington Redskins. So if Zeke doesn't do well, you still have a running back that did start for the Washington Redskins. So especially with that offensive line, I got the Cowboys all day. The Giants have a terrible defense, so I see what we saw. And granted, it is preseason. What we saw with Dak Prescott being comfortable behind the line, being comfortable passing to Des Bryant and all the first-team guys, it's going to be probably another shootout with this game. So, but I'm still going with the Cowboys.
All right, Craig.
I got Dallas. They're at home. I got Dallas.
Dwayne,
I got New York all day.
You got the Giants.
Yeah, I got the Giants.
Frank,
This one.
Cowboys.
That's what I figured. Like I always say, it's a hard pill for me to smile. It's a fun game to watch because I don't care. I hope you both lose, being an Eagles fan in this division.
Are you calling a tie?
No.
Overtime tie?
No, I wish. But I have to admit, and I said this yesterday, I have to say to you that for this particular game, I have to side with Dallas and say that we know what we get with Eli Manning this year. And I hope that Eli Apple and that defense can step up and hold Dallas. But I'm very excited to see what Prescott and Ezekiel Elliott and Des Bryant are going to do. So I picked Dallas for this game. All right, our last game that we're going to do here at Old School, and again, big shout-out to Carl for letting us come in and take over today, is, of course, a Sunday night game, and it is the Arizona Cardinals, who are hosting, Craig, they're hosting your boy Jimmy G, and the New England Patriots.
Jimmy Garoppolo, baby.
Yes.
Let's go.
So, as I do every Saturday on our show, Whole Nutha Level, from 1 to 3, ladies and gentlemen, the one, the only, Craig Cousin.
Hey, I'm excited. I'm super excited about tonight's game, but I'm also a realist. I mean, we are an army down. No Brady, no Gronk. Starting right and left tackles are both out. Jonathan Cooper, who we traded for over in the Chandler Jones trade, he's not playing. Deion Lewis on the shelf for 6 weeks. I mean, Ninkovich suspended. We have a lot going on. But listen, we're really going to see what Jimmy G can do. Still have Julian Edelman. We brought in Martellus Bennett from Chicago for a reason. We got Amendola. We brought in Chris Hogan to a contract. So, do I think that they have a lot of pieces? No, but I think that they still have pieces. We have a chance to win this game. What I will say is the defense is going to have to cause some turnovers. We've seen it from Carson Palmer in the past. He does throw some interceptions. Does he not?
He does.
You know what I'm saying? So if we can get to him early and often, get him rattled, make him throw some interceptions, I think New England has a chance to win the game on a late field goal from a Steven Gostkowski. But like I said, I'm a realist. Going into Arizona with full force would have been a hard game to win in this.
Let me ask you guys a quick question. I know he's going really high in fantasy drafts. Are you guys sold on David Johnson? Are you guys sold on him?
As a pass-catching running back, I am.
Okay.
Out of the backfield, yeah, he's great. He's got maybe some of the best hands of a running back in the NFL.
Okay. That Bloody Mary does look good.
I know, man. I had my eyes on that.
Slider in and bacon and
Wow.
This is an impressive
There's a
Bloody
burger
Mary.
on there.
crab claw. That's
Mini burger.
impressive.
We have the Jameis Winston over here with
is
the
that the
crab
Jameis
claw.
Winston,
This is called the Jameis
That's
Winston
the
Mary.
Jameis Winston Bloody Mary.
Yes.
Sweet.
Here's what Arizona does have going against them. A rookie cornerback is starting. I mean, granted, Patrick Peterson is going to lock down one half of the field anyhow, and it's good. It'll be good to see what Jimmy G. Can you get a nickname like that when you haven't even done anything? I mean, my goodness,
It's not so much like Jimmy the Greek, though.
It'll be interesting to see, though, are they going to target him basically the whole game? Because Brady would. I mean, he basically would wear him out all game long.
Yeah, I mean, what I think is going to happen is you're going to see a lot of LeGarrette Blount. You're going to see a lot of check down passes to James White. You're going to see Martellus Bennett try to be used over the middle a lot. And we'll see if Amendola and Edelman can get open. I mean, honestly, nobody can cover Edelman underneath. He is a mismatch nightmare. But that's also with Gronk on the field, and that's also with Brady throwing the deep ball. So we're going to kind of see what's going to happen in transition from Brady to Jimmy G these first 4 games. Like I said, it's a tall task anyways. With Brady in there, I'm not ever going to root against my team or pick against my team. So I have New England winning this game by a field goal late. But like I said, I'm a realist, and I'm not going to be surprised at all if Arizona wins.
Of course, Arizona, just too many weapons. They're at home. I think this is the key thing for them. I have them winning this game. Yeah, without question.
John Brown on my fantasy team. I need a big game out of him. Look,
farewell tour. Larry Fitzgerald just announced today, correct?
Actually, correction. His dad did come out on saying he is not going to retire.
Jesus, really? What was that?
The reporter on Twitter was a falsified report. He is not retiring. So I believe his dad. So I do have the Cardinals in this game. I hope this is an exciting game because we have 2 good teams. Of course, we don't know what we're going to expect from Jimmy Garoppolo, but I do like Carson Palmer. And granted, he does throw a lot of picks here and there, but I think Arizona's defense is too good against a Jimmy Garoppolo-led Patriots offense.
You brought Jimmy Garoppolo in for a reason, for situations like this. Tom Brady, after 545 days, finally decided that he was going to take his 4-game suspension, knowing that all it was going to do was just make him more focused and more attentive to the fact that when he gets back on the field, he's going to remind everybody, yet again, who he is. So it's difficult for me not to pick New England in this game because I think all Jimmy G has to do is be good for 2 games. Really, 2 out of the 4 games, that's all he has to do. Because when Tom Brady comes back, it's over. But it is very difficult to play in Arizona. We all know this. And I really think that Patrick Peterson defense, like Frank, you alluded to, is going to shut down one side of the field. So I really hope that Jimmy G can read his options, can find Bennett, and can use Chris Hogan.
It's not even that. I mean, their defensive line might be the best defensive line in the league. You got Calais Campbell. You got Chandler Jones over there now. You brought in Robert Kimdichie.
Steal of the draft,
I mean, they're stout. So points are going to be hard to come by in Arizona. And we're going to see if Jimmy G can put up any points tonight. Hey, I'm hoping that he does.
Will there be a Brissett sighting?
Do you want to do an over or under on how many interceptions he throws
tonight? Next question.
Nice.
All right, gentlemen, this has been great, man. Again, big shout out to Carl at Old School for letting us come in and do this today. We really appreciate it.
Hey, I want to get everybody's thoughts on one more game if we could.
Okay.
We got a Monday night game, a couple of them. Pittsburgh at Washington. I see some Redskins fans out there. We
got some Steeler fans in the house, too.
Fans in here, too.
We got some Steeler fans as well.
Yep.
And it's a huge game, obviously, for both ends.
Lombardi Trophy.
You got Kirk Cousins, didn't sign a long-term deal. He's betting on himself in one sense over here. We got on the other side, Lev Bell suspended. Martavius Bryant couldn't get his head on straight. But you have the best receiver in the NFL right now in Antonio Brown. You have Big Ben. So what do you guys see from this game? Whoever wants to jump in first.
Obviously you mentioned that Bell's gone. And he's an integral part of that offense, obviously. He'll be gone for, 3-4 games?
3 games.
But, Pittsburgh impressed me last year. They made the playoffs last year. They won 1 playoff game. But the point is, they were all banged up last year. Roethlisberger banged up. You had Landry Jones, and Michael Vick, who was backing up for Roethlisberger, and they didn't do anything, but still made the playoffs. I think they'll do a lot of that. They're fairly healthy this year, obviously, sans Bell. But, I see Pittsburgh winning this game against Washington.
I see Pittsburgh winning this game. For somehow the Pittsburgh Steelers and the terrible Towels do seem to find a way to win, being banged up and whatnot. I do see them winning the game over the Skins. Now, Frank, this is your team, so this is all you.
I expect Pittsburgh's going to wear out that Washington defense. I mean, look, even though Marcus Wheaton's not going to play, but look, if there's a team in the NFL that drafts wide receivers better than anybody, it's Pittsburgh. I mean, the Sammy Coates is going to get his chance to shine, even though Jesse James, Best tight end name in football right there. I mean, DeAngelo Williams was a 1,000-yard back last year. And, oh, by the way, they got back maybe one of the best players in the NFL in Marquise Pouncey. I mean, arguably one of the best centers. So, I mean, he's going to be a huge help to that offensive line. They re-signed Castro. Look, their front seven in Pittsburgh was a top 10 defense. I mean, their sacks, their linebacking core is great. It's their secondary. I mean that's basically, it was 30th in the NFL last year. If they can at least just get that up a little bit, I mean, it doesn't even have to be great. I mean, if they could just get that up to like 20, I mean, they're going to be set. I mean,
I really like. I think this is one of the best games of the weekend, believe it or not. I like a lot of things Washington's done over there. You know, I think their offense is finally going to be pretty good. They were good last year. Kirk Cousins gets the helm. There's no RG3 looking over his shoulder. You have a finally healthy Deshaun Jackson. I love Josh Doxson, the pick out of TCU. I think he's going to be a huge red zone target. You know, you have, obviously, if he can stay healthy, Jordan Reed, probably the second or third best tight end in the league when healthy. It's going to be a tough task, though, Pittsburgh at Washington, man. I honestly think it's a coin flip game.
Wow. Listen, here's what I'll say to you, gentlemen. I said this yesterday, and I'll say it again. This was not a hard pick for me to make, okay? I love what Scott McCloughan did as the GM of the Washington Redskins because you know what? He drafts big, mean, nasty dudes to come in. And, again, last year, the Washington Redskins won the NFC East by default because between – Dwayne's Giants, Frank's Cowboys, and my Eagles, we just didn't want to win the damn game. So clearly, it was nothing but air and opportunity for the Redskins to win. But you're going up against the Pittsburgh Steelers. I mean, and let's just, I'll say it to you very simply.
In Washington, though.
In Washington, it doesn't matter. The Pittsburgh Steelers, opening night, Josh Norman is about to get worn out by Antonio Brown. No disrespect to Kirk Cousins because he bet on himself. Deshaun Jackson, I know personally what he's capable of because I've seen him do it. You've got Jordan Reed, you've got Pierre Garçon, but I have more faith in a, let's just say, subpar Pittsburgh defense than I do with all the weapons that Washington has.
And one of the keys to the game, I think, is Washington's banged up in the backfield. I mean, Matt Jones is injured. I don't even think he's going to play, and he has fumbleitis. Chris Thompson's like a pass-catching back. So I think the edge just to Pittsburgh basically just on the run game itself. Because like you said, DeAngelo Williams is still a very, very good back. He's probably the best backup in the NFL. He should be a starter on most teams.
He really should. All right, gentlemen. With that, like I said, we are going to take our leave again. Big shout out to Carl for letting us come in here and take over. We do this every Saturday from 1 to 3 on Spreaker.com. Check us out, folks. We also do a Tuesday show from 7 to 8:30, recapping the Sunday and Monday night games and getting you forecasted for Thursday. But this is Whole 3 Level. So for the great Al Bushman, the one and only Craig Cousin, Dwayne Lindo, Frank Mazzei, this is your boy Eric Wilson. And until Tuesday, we have taken you to a whole other level, and we'll see you next time. Thanks.
Gee, mate, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.